What is up, everyone? Movie back again with another end of month vlog. This is just me talking about all the movies and TV shows that I watched in the month of November 2022. Now, there isn't as many titles as last month here because I did a lot in October. But another reason for that is this game, God of War Ragnarok on the PS5, has been taking up a lot of my time. Put about 30 hours into this now, and there's been nights where I haven't even watched movies. I've just been playing this game, but I've still got about 17 titles to talk about here, so it's not too bad. It's still going to be a fun-packed video of titles to talk about. Most of them are 2022 releases. I just want to apologise for the lack of videos this month. It's not really like me. I like to put a lot more videos out than this, but for whatever reason, I just haven't. But I am constantly looking for ideas and drive to get this channel moving forward. I've got a lot of plans for 2023. I've done a little roadmap of what I want to do and when, based on movies that are coming out, on time of the year and stuff. But I'll talk about that more in a channel update very, very shortly on the channel. There's going to be lots of lists coming out at the end of December and stuff, top movies of the year or whatever. So look out for them. But I do have a lot of videos planned. I've got 2 that I'm doing soon that I'm really looking forward to. So we have got all good stuff to come on the channel, I promise. So let's just get into it now. And the first thing that I watched in the month of November 2022, got the laptop in front of me, guys, just letting you guys know, and that is Bring It On, Cheer or Die. Now, I used to watch Bring It On, the original, with my sister a lot in the early 2000s, and I used to think, oh, that movie's not for me. And the more I see my sister watch it, she used to rewatch it constantly, the more I grew to it, and I absolutely love that film. There's no denying it. I do. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. So when I heard that they were bringing a horror version out here, where these teenagers go to practice over the weekend so they can be the best at the regional championships, and there's a killer on the loose and picking them all off one by one, kind of like a slasher movie, I thought, I've got to see this. Now, going by the movie posters and stuff, I knew this was going to be bad. But I had to see it for myself. I just had to. I thought it might be one of them movies that's bad but enjoyable. And it was in some places, but overall, this wasn't great. It's one of the worst movies I've seen this year. It's very low budget. The acting isn't very good. And the reveal at the end of the killers was laughable. I couldn't believe that this reveal was happening in front of my eyes. It was just so awful, the acting and stuff. But there's a couple of good moments involving some of the characters, especially the main character. I forgot her name. She was okay. She had some cool little moments and interactions with other characters. The kills weren't very good, though. A lot of them were off screen and stuff. I don't recommend it, even if you love it, Bring It On, the original. So yeah, glad to have seen it, but I'll never watch it again. Next up is a movie called Not Okay. And this is on Disney Plus, and this is the girl out of Zombieland, the young girl in that movie. I've just looked. Is this Zoe Kravitz? No, not Zoe Kravitz. Zoe Dutch. Sorry about that. She wants to be famous and stuff, and she decides to go to Paris, but she's faking it and she's photoshopping all herself in these images in Paris and by the Eiffel Tower and stuff. And in real life, a terrorist attack happens right where she is, and everyone's phoning her, asking if she's okay. She comes home on the plane, and there's all news reporters wanting to know her story and stuff. Even though she didn't really come home on the plane, she sort of fakes it, that she's coming home on the plane in the airport. And she uses this opportunity to become famous and, write little blogs and stuff about surviving terrorist attacks. And she even goes to these people who've survived massacres and stuff in schools, and has these counseling classes and stuff, and it goes very, very far, and it's kind of an unforgivable thing she is doing in this movie. She's not a very likable protagonist whilst being likable at the same time. Like, you can't really forgive her what she's doing, but she is a sweet girl on the inside and stuff, and it starts to get a little bit out of hand, let's say, when people find out her little secret. So overall, I did think this was a very good story. I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend it if you want something. It's an easy watch, but it's kind of annoying at the same time, that you're kind of infuriating about this girl making bad decisions and stuff. But overall, I do recommend this movie. I thought it was quite good, actually, and I really enjoyed it. Next up is Resurrection, starring Jennifer Hall. I'd heard some people say this is one of the best performances of the year and stuff from her, and you know what? It was. She was really great in this movie. So this is basically about her, and she's got this daughter, and she's a little bit overprotective of her daughter for the reason that I'm about to talk about now. Now, she sees this guy she has not seen for years just in the crowd there when she's in this public place, and she starts to freak out and go, oh my god, it's him. And she has a bit of an evil past with him, really. And I don't want to say too much more than that, but it starts to become overprotective on her daughter. It starts to sort of mangle their relationship a little bit there, but you kind of want this unraveling to happen of what this guy has done to her in the past and what really happened. And he's played by Tim Roth, by the way. And it's a very strange, mysterious, and creepy movie at times, but I didn't get the end, okay? I mean, it's one of them confusing movies that you've got to kind of work out and unravel in your mind like a puzzle. And I thought the third act kind of ruined it a little bit, but all the way through this movie, I was very intrigued as to what was going to happen, and Rebecca Hall was fucking awesome in this. She gave a great performance, so it's not going to be for everyone, but I thought it was alright. That is Resurrection. Next up is Senior Year. Now, on my letterbox, I have a list of movies from 2022 that I want to watch. And I don't know why this was on there in the first place, but every time I go on this list, this was just staring at me. It was the first one on there because it was one of the earliest ones I put on. It came out a few months ago now. But you know, I'm just going to watch this motherfucker. This is about a young lady who wants to become prom queen and stuff, and she gets into a bit of an accident, goes into a coma for like 20 years or whatever it is, and wakes up as an older woman stuck in her 16-year-old head. And she's acting like a 16-year-old would and stuff, and she wants to go back and finish her senior year and become prom queen as this adult. It's a very silly movie. Rebel Wilson was kind of annoying in this movie at times as well. Very, very strange performance. I didn't hate it. It's watchable. But it was like 2 hours, and it only needs to be a 90-minute movie. I have no idea why a lot of these Netflix films just overstay their welcome. I'm not saying 2 hours is long, but for a movie like this, it is. Now, it was just alright. I mean, there was some moments I laughed and stuff, but overall, it's not a great film. I don't really recommend it, to be honest. It's just a silly Netflix movie. You know, yeah. My next up is another Netflix movie, but this is actually one of the greatest films I have seen in 2022. One of the greatest war films I've ever seen, and that is All Quiet on the Western Front. Now, this is now in my top 5 of the year. I heard a few rumblings that it was a good movie, and I thought, you know what, I was going to watch it. I had the data myself, and I wasn't feeling very well, actually. My wife was out with the baby and stuff, and I thought, you know what, this is like nearly a 3-hour movie. I'm just going to watch the damn thing, and I was blown away by this film. It's about a bunch of young men who are kind of tricked by the German army to going into war. I don't think they fully know what they're getting into, because it's sold to them like they're going to be heroes and stuff like that, and it's a doddle, and don't worry, you've just got to do a bit of this and that, and you'll come home safe, and everyone will love you. You're going to be heroes when you come home. And they realise pretty quickly what they've got themselves into when they enter that first bunker, man. I mean, it was really, really frustrating and made me angry at times about what these people had to go through in war. Now, I know World War III probably would never happen this way, because it would probably all just be done with the touch of a button, but if we ever have to go to war like that, man, I will be terrified, because this movie really put it into perspective of what these people went through. Now, the main star of this film, Felix Cremera, I think it was, who played Paul, was excellent. He looked like a young Bill Skarsgård, but he led the film really well. The cinematography and the directing and everything is getting praised to hell for this film, and rightly so. It is a very well filmed movie. It looks amazing, captures the horror of war really well, while looking, I wouldn't say beautiful at the same time, but really well, nicely shot, visually stunning. But this guy is kind of getting forgotten a little bit there, just because how good this movie is made. And I thought he put a great performance. You really attach yourself to his character, and it has one of the best movie moments I have seen in 2022, involving some tanks there. So I'm not even a big war movie fan, but I was blown away by this film. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I highly, highly recommend All Quiet on the Western Front, and this is my new release of the month. Definitely, it's in my top 5 of the year, and I'm so happy I watched it. I hope Criterion do a deal with Netflix to bring this one out. I know they bring a few out, but I hope this comes to physical, so I will buy that in a heartbeat. It might be the best war film I've ever seen. Yes, even better than Saving Private Ryan. It might be. I have to sit on that one, but I highly recommend it. Next up is going to be Brian and Charles. My friend Jamie Powell said this movie was great. I think he's got it as his number 1 of the year. And you know what? I had a really good time with this. It's basically about this loner, Brian. I think he's in the series by Ricky Gervais, Afterlife, I think, but I've never seen that. And he is living in the Welsh countryside, and he just invents things that are pointless. Like, he's the worst inventor ever, but he does not ever give up. He's always looking for the next thing. There's even a scene where he goes, one door shuts, another door opens, one door shuts, and then another one opens, and if that one fails, another one opens, and he says it for about 2 minutes, and I was cracking up. But he invents this robot, and the robot actually does come alive, this android called Charles, and they form a friendship and stuff in this village. And you know what, it's a very simple film, but it's very, very heartfelt. It's very, very funny. I absolutely loved it. I thought this was such a fun time. And things get a little bit aggy in the village when this horrible family who live there want to come and take Charles. But that's all I'm going to say. Definitely worth a watch. British humour all over it. I do love a good British film when done right. And this is definitely worth a go. So that is Brian and Charles. Next up is a film called Do Revenge. Yes, watching a lot of high school sort of chick flicks this month, aren't I? I heard this was a very good film, so I had to go. And this is on Netflix. This is starring Mia Hawke. I'm really sorry I forgot the other girl's name, who's more of the main protagonist, but this is basically about these two who've been wrong done by, and they team up to get revenge on their counterparts by helping each other. It was okay. I enjoyed it for what it was, but again, I do think this was 20 minutes too long again. It kind of dragged on towards the end. But all the acting was good and stuff. A really unlikable side character in this who you really want to see get his revenge took on by these two girls. But yeah, you get behind them and stuff. It is what it is. It's nothing special. It's okay, but there's a good little twist coming towards the third act and stuff like that. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It depends if you like these high school drama things, isn't it? Now, next up, I watched The Addams Family on Blu-ray because the TV show of Wednesday was coming out, which I am currently watching. After I film this video, I'm actually going to go and watch another episode with my wife. I'd never actually seen The Addams Family. I do own Addams Family Values as well, which I have not seen yet, but I'm planning on watching very soon, so I won't be talking about that in this video. But this was a first time watch for me, believe it or not. Yes, I was a 90s kid. I was born in 88, but I grew up through the 90s, so you'd think I would have seen this film, but I just haven't. And you know what? It was a really fun time. I thought all the jokes and the humour landed really well. I thought Uncle Fester was such a good character. At times I was thinking, it's mad the way it's Christopher Lloyd. It looks like him, but it's still crazy to think that it's actually him playing this character. It was just strange. I don't know why. I can't quite explain it. But really fun movie, a wacky household with this family live. Um, and a good little story attached, yeah. I'm going to give this my older pick of the month because it is the only older film I watched this month, really. So that is The Addams Family. And by the way, I'm not going to speak too much about Wednesday, but it is really, really fun. I'll speak about that more next month. Next up is another Blu-ray I watched, and this is Pennywise, The Story of It. And this is a 2022 documentary. And when this come out on Blu-ray, I just bought it on release day. And I am a massive fan of the 1990 miniseries. I watched it constantly as a kid, even though it's 3 hours long. I used to watch that shit all the time, and it's just one of my most nostalgic, fun movies that I can rewatch over and over. So I had to buy this. Now, this doesn't blow you away with anything new that we didn't know or anything like that, but it's just a good 2 hour making of documentary. They've got all the cast in there. Apart from Stephen King they take snippets of what he said about the movie and stuff, but they're not actually interviewing him properly in this. But he's like the biggest missing piece. But they have all the actors who are alive today. Obviously, sadly, John Ritter is not in there, and the young guy who plays uh, Bill, young Bill, who sadly died as well. Um, they're sadly not there because they're no longer with us. But every other character, even like Henry Bowers and stuff, were in here. Old and new Henry Bowers. They were all there giving their account of how they made it and stuff, and it was just so interesting. It was right up my street. Couldn't take my eyes off it. They had Tim Curry in there as well, obviously. Awesome documentary. Highly recommend it if you're a fan of the 1990 miniseries. Next up, I watched Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And I thought this was a really very well constructed film with what they had to do by rewriting the script. No Chadwick Boseman, which they paid tribute to really well in this actually. Kind of pulled at the heartstrings there in some of the scenes, especially the final scene really. But I thought this was very well constructed. I thought Namor, I think it was a decent villain to have in this movie. He has a good motive as to why he wants to do what he's doing and stuff. Some really well shot action scenes, but it's definitely a slower paced Marvel movie than some others. The runtime is a little bit long, but I was never bored during this. I was always intrigued, and I think it's in my top 10 of the year now. Because I think it might be my favorite Marvel movie of the year, to be honest. Um, I don't want to speak too much about it because I might give spoilers away and stuff. But yeah, some of the moments in this were awesome. But it's not your typical MCU film. I think it's definitely more slower paced and takes its time. It's not just non-stop action. Comedy is taken out a lot here, even though there are one or two moments that made me laugh. It's not just thrown at you all the time. And it just feels like a more serious, balanced movie, if you like. But I definitely recommend it. It's a good sequel to Black Panther, and for what they had to work with, I don't think they could have pulled it off any better, in all honesty. So that is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Next up is Watcher. I went to the cinema to watch this one on my own, and this is about a young girl. It's the main protagonist from It Follows. I'm really sorry I forgot her name. She's a wonderful actress. When you're talking about so many movies in one video, the names do escape your head. But she's a wonderful actress, and she's great in this as well. And she moves to Romania with her boyfriend or her husband because he's got work there and he's got a good job. And they move into this apartment, and she notices this guy looking at her from across the street. And every time she goes out to the supermarket or the cinema, this guy, she thinks it's the same guy, is sort of just following her around, and she's always feeling his presence wherever she goes, and he's kind of like stalking her and stuff in her head that she thinks that. And I was so into this movie. I was just watching it going, wow, what's going to happen next? Where's this leading to? I really, really got into it. It was a really great, mysterious thriller, if you like. I thought the climax could have been fine-tuned a little bit better, but it was still satisfying. And yeah, good thriller that I highly recommend. Really creepy in places. There was one moment where I was watching it and something happened and I went, oh, like that. Like I was in the cinema on my own. I was like kind of freaked out watching that moment. So yeah, I do recommend watch it. It's a really good movie. Next up is Sissy, which is a Shudder original. And I forgot the damn young lady's name in this again. I'm really sorry. I think I might have it up here. Yes, I do. Her name was, I'm really sorry about this, everyone, Alicia D. I think she's Australian. Um, she goes to this camping trip. Sorry, she goes away with this old school friend who was her best friend in high school and stuff, or when they were younger, to like this lodge cabin. And when she gets there, her high school bully has met them there, and she starts to feel very, very awkward about it all. And things start to just get a little bit squirmish, if you like, and you kind of watch it going, oh, what's going on with these two and stuff. Don't want to say too much more, but it becomes like a little bit of a horror movie, if you like. So yeah, I can't really talk about that one too much because the twist sort of happens a little bit early on in the movie or like halfway through and stuff. But I had a good time with it. Thought Alicia D put in a really good performance. Some of the characters were a little bit annoying, I'm not going to lie. But overall, not a bad Shudder original. And probably one that I would probably pick up if they brought that out on Blu-ray, because I know they release lots of their movies on physical. But I do recommend it. If you like typical horror movies that are like kind of like slashers, I'm just going to say it now, I do recommend this. It was a decent film. Next up is Enola Holmes 2. I remember watching the first one a couple of years ago, thinking it was okay, but I seen lots of people rating this one quite highly actually, and I thought it was worse than the first one. I just couldn't get into this. I didn't care for the story too much. Some of the acting was really I could tell the accents were very, very forced. It was kind of like a theatre company were putting on this movie. I mean, you could just tell from the set design and stuff, and the way the characters are dressed, and the voices they were putting on. It was just a little bit too much, like it was on a stage. That's what it felt like. Millie Bobby Brown though and Henry Cavill kind of light up the movie. You can tell they are the better cast members easily. But overall, I just don't think it was a very good story. I didn't really care for it too much. I didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie. I just didn't really like it. I definitely preferred the first one, and even that wasn't great. So yeah, Enola Holmes 2, not really for me. Now next up is one of my better picks of the month, and that is The Menu, starring Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Nicholas Hoult. So basically, Nicholas Hoult and Anya Taylor-Joy go to this island, and Nicholas Hoult is like this food lover, and he just loves watching food and cookery programs and stuff. And he wants to go to this and just taste all the best food for this. I think they pay like $1,500 to go there each, and they're gonna get like this 7-course menu and stuff. And Ralph Fiennes is bringing out the food and stuff. But as the film goes on, things start to get very, very strange, and there's a few what the fuck moments, and you just feel very, very awkward at times for the characters. I can't say too much about it, but there were some really funny moments, and then some really fucking out there moments. And it was just one of them films that I've never seen before. It was a very good original concept, and I fucking loved it. I thought this film was so fun, but dark at the same time. It's like a black comedy at times. Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, Ralph Fiennes, all putting great performances in. All the side characters done a good job here, like John Leguizamo and stuff. John Leguizamo. I'm still probably saying that wrong. But I love the way it took the theme of food and sort of put it in a thriller there and just mashed it all together. I highly recommend this film. One of the best of the year. I absolutely loved it, and that is The Menu. It's hard to go into more detail there without spoiling it. I'd have to do a review and write it all down and stuff and go around corners without giving too much away, but I do recommend that film highly. Next up, I watched The Railway Children. Now, me and my wife watched the trailer for this on the cinema, and we thought, you know what, that looks like a good little simple film to watch. And we were actually going to go and see it, but we just never got round to it. So I got it on streaming or digital download, or whatever. Can't quite remember now. And we watched it there. And it was a very, very simple film about these kids who, in wartime, have to go and stay with these families in the countryside because all the cities are getting bombed just to be safe. And these siblings go and stay with this family and a young boy who already lives there, and they become friends, and they notice that this soldier is kind of hiding and he's in a little bit of trouble, so they do everything they can to kind of protect them from these people who are looking for him, basically. But yeah, it was just a very simple family orientated film. Don't have to think too much about it, and I enjoyed it. It's like a 3 out of 5 movie, not much more. All the children were really good characters, putting good performances. Yeah, it was just a nice movie. Worth a watch if you want something very simple and heartfelt. Next up is Fall. Now, my cousin and my friend Jamie both told me to watch this. I had it on my watch list anyway, but they both said that they really enjoyed it. So I give it a go. And you know what? I did. This definitely plays on the fear of heights. So it's about these 2 young girls who climb this tower. And it's one of the biggest towers. I can't quite remember where it is. But it's like one of them beacon towers. They're very, very tall anyway. And they get to the top and they're filming and stuff like that, and they end up getting stuck up there because the ladder breaks. And they just cannot get down. They're just stuck up there. They don't know what to do, and it becomes very, very of an isolation comes into play, survival at any cost, and a little bit of a backstory along the way involving these two girls and the friendship they have, and things that have happened that we learn about in the movie between them. I thought this was a good film. I did. I enjoyed it. It's my type of movie. It's not going to be for everyone. I've seen people give this 1-star reviews and stuff, but for me, I really enjoyed it. I do recommend this film. See it for yourself, just for the sheer thrill ride, really. Yeah, and you're just thinking constantly, how the hell are they getting off this? How the hell? I mean, there's just no way out, and you just have to wait till the end to see what happens. So that is full. Really enjoyed it. If you're not a fan of heights, though, beware, because there are some moments in this film where I was just like, please just grab onto something before you fall, because they're like filming themselves when they first get up there and going, woo! And I'm just like, if you take one step that way, you're dead. So it really does make you shout at the screen at times. Next up, I went to see Bones and All, the new cannibal film, the best cannibal film of the year, let's say. Although Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they give it some competition. This is about Timothée Chalamet and yeah, I forgot the girl's name. I'm really sorry. I think she's off Escape Room. I looked it up before the video and it's gone out my head. But this is about Taylor Russell, I think. She basically finds out that she has got a taste for flesh, and she goes on the run on this and meets Timothée Chalamet, who is also like her. And they just go on this sort of road trip to meet her real life mother and get some answers as to why she is like this. But they kind of meet a lot of sinister characters along the way. And that's where the real interesting parts of the movie are. These other characters who are kind of like them, because they could sort of smell each other and connect with each other because they're all the same and stuff. I don't want to say too much, but I thought this was a really interesting film, one that I kind of didn't see coming. And I'm glad that we are getting some original concepts, really, that we haven't seen before. It's like a horror movie mashed up with a romance, and they balance it out really, really well. Taylor Russell and Chalamet putting really good performances here. The chemistry is off the scale with the pair of them, and I enjoyed it. It's like a 7.5 out of 10 film. I recommend it if you want something a little bit different there. Oh, and I love the whole, I think it takes place in the early 80s, but the visual concept that they got there and the cinematography all look great. You know, it really did feel like you were in that time period there. So that is Bones and All. And lastly is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Christmas Special. Ah, this was fantastic. It really was. I had such a fun time with this. This is basically about the Guardians, and they don't know what Christmas is, and they find out that Star-Lord's uh, Christmas used to celebrate Christmas, really, and it was ruined for him at one point. So they know he's a fan of Kevin Bacon, and they set out to get him the best Christmas present ever and bring Christmas to him. Yes, they bring him Kevin Bacon. So this was so funny. It really was. So it's mainly centered around Drax and what's the character's name? I watched it the other day. Mantis. They go to Earth to try and kidnap Kevin Bacon to bring him to Star-Lord as a Christmas present. But this was just such a fun time. So many funny jokes. Drax is one of my favourite characters in the entire MCU. I love him. I could watch him all day. 40-minute runtime. It's definitely worth a watch. You know, if you're a Marvel fan and you're having Marvel fatigue, as it's called, or you're starting to fall out of love with Marvel, this might actually pull you back in, because it is just such a fun time. And you know what? I absolutely loved the way they captured the spirit of Christmas in the finale. It just all come together beautifully. So well written, but such a fun time. I definitely recommend that. That is Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Holiday Special. And that is it, guys. Thanks so much. I hope you all enjoyed this end of month vlog. If you want more of these, where I talk about lots of movies in another vid, and lots of Lots of movies in one video, they will all be down below. So thanks so much guys, take it all easy, and I'll see you on the next video.